Okay, good morning. Well, let's just find a comfortable seat to start with. And this morning, our topic is the gunas. And I think just an easy way to explain those are the energy that we have throughout the day. And in yoga, there's three of them. Sattva is the one really that we're aiming for. It is when we're feeling imbalanced and we feel clear-headed. We have a lot of clarity in what we're doing, and there's really not any lethargy or kind of a grasping sense or a hurried sense. And then tamas is another of the gunas. There's three of them. So tamas, when it's in balance, helps us to feel grounded and stable. And when it goes out of balance, we feel lethargic. We can start to feel hopeless. This feeling can occur after we've had some kind of numbing behavior, whether that's eating, drinking, watching TV, just kind of you can imagine like laying on the couch. There's no energy or really drive to get up and do something. And then rajas is the other energy, the last guna. And that one is really good for getting things done, right? It's kind of like a fire. And when it's in balance, it's really directed at something. We can be focused. We are gathering up our resources and doing the thing that we need to do. And when it's out of balance, we have all this energy, but it is excess, and we're not really able to concentrate on just one thing. Chaotic. That was the word I wanted to remember. It's this chaotic feeling, and we can start to feel scattered. So maybe jumping from one thing to the other. And so it seems like every moment of the day almost, these gunas are shifting in levels of where they are. And something really interesting is once you get familiar with the gunas, there's some yoga practices that you can do that will affect, especially rajas and tamas, and then bring us back into sattva, which is what we're navigating every day. And so part of that is being able to kind of check in and see where you are. Before I started practicing yoga, I had no idea that there were these different names for things. I just knew that I felt these things, and I certainly didn't know that I could do something to influence them. Really felt a lot of times at the mercy of whatever feeling was coming that day when I woke up in the morning, usually. Oh, I feel bad today. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything really to do. So we'll practice some things this morning to kind of reawaken tamas and bring that back into balance, because that's in lower. So you can just imagine kind of lifting that back up. And then when we have rajas, we need to bring that back down. So everything kind of settles more into sattva. And we'll use some yoga practices to kind of help our self-leadership. So we'll start with a very simple breathing practice. So coming into a comfortable seat, and you can have your hands however they feel good, whether that's pressing down into the legs a little bit or with the palms up. They do bring different sensations. So just notice which you like better today. A nice long spine. And gently closing the eyes. And just spending a few moments noticing your breath. And noticing if anything that was just spoken is resonating with you right now. Can you feel the rajas in you, the tamas, the sattva? And as your breath begins to deepen, this morning we'll just work on a little bit of a longer exhale than the inhale. And you can do that just by a feeling where you can actually count the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. Goes for maybe 1 to 3 counts longer, just depends on how it feels in your body. And after a couple of longer exhalations, take some time to scan through the body. Notice what qualities of the gunas are there. And then noticing the quality of the mind. Often there can be a difference between the quality of the mind and how the body feels. We can have a body that feels more tamas, while the mind feels more rajasic and racing. And then keeping the hands in the lap, you can turn the palms to face up if they're not already. And as you inhale, we're just going to squeeze the palms together. Exhale, extending the fingers. You'll keep doing that with every inhalation, squeeze. Exhalation, open. This is a slower movement because we're still having those long, slow breaths. We can think of these next several practices that we're going to do together to be a gentle awakening or kind of coming back to the present or the surface. Tamas energy is really low and it can feel kind of like going down a rabbit hole. And we don't want to just yank ourselves out of that. It's like a gentle awakening, almost like you would gently wake up a sleeping child. And so just a few more times like this. And the next time the hands are open, leave them there, but let your awareness stay there. And just notice there might be some tingling or just a warmth. You notice how that sort of dissipates after a minute or so. And then we'll raise the hands, take the 2 fingers of each hand, come to center in the forehead. We're just going to start to make really small circles. A little massage here. Moving down the forehead really slowly. and towards the temples. And then start to come around the eye socket, so the bottoms. Down the sides of the nostrils. And then at the upper lip. And then we'll go back out to where the ear and the jaw meet and start circling there. Moving down the jaw. And coming towards the chin. And then we can place both hands back in the lap. And again, just pause to notice the residual feelings and sensations that are left from that. And then we'll take the left ear to the left shoulder and bringing the right hand up. We'll start behind the ear with the 2 fingers again, starting to make some circles really gently. And then moving down the neck. You can also go back up, back to the ear and down again if that feels good. Just by moving your fingers to a little bit of a different area, you can start to notice where there might be some held tension there. Releasing the hand down, coming back to center. And then right ear, right shoulder, left fingers up behind the ear. And again, just that gentle circling with the first 2 fingers. Releasing, noticing the sensation of bringing our awareness back to the body, some gentle energy. So we'll move that a little further by taking the 3 first fingers and doing some gentle tapping on the forehead. So I like to go out and then come in, moving down just kind of centimeter by centimeter. Getting to the eyebrows and feeling kind of the bone right there, gently tapping over that and coming around again to the bottom of the eye socket. Okay, this is just a gentle tapping. And we can kind of move over the cheeks, down the jaw, over the chin. And then lifting the chin up toward the sky, coming down on the neck. And we can go to both sides of the neck, coming back through center. This is just creating some energy there. And then across the collarbone. And then kind of down the sternum a little bit. And then once more, releasing the hands into the lap. Take a couple of longer, slower breaths. And just notice the sensation that you might be feeling right now. And thinking about how this might feel in those times where you feel more tamasic. And perhaps you want to stay in bed longer than necessary. just you've been sitting for a long time. They're just some very simple ways to move that energy around. Okay. And then we're going to make our way to standing. So you can clear off your mat. Setting everything to the side. And let me just make one adjustment up here. Here we go. Okay. The next thing we'll do, my teacher that taught me this called this churnings. And this is something nice to do in the mornings, I think, but it can also be after you've been sitting for a long time. And again, if you've been feeling some kind of lethargy. So we'll start with our right foot. You can just come up to the ball of your foot, or you can turn your toes under and start to roll your foot. That does not feel good for everyone. So just pick which one works for you. And if you're not familiar with this, it's going to feel very interesting because the toes are definitely not used to being in this type of position. And then whichever way you are rolling the toes, begin to go in the second direction. So remember, you can be on the ball of the foot or on the tops of the toes, whatever is most comfortable. And then we'll set that foot down. Pause to notice the different energies between the legs. And then we'll do the second side. When we're having a lot of tamas, as I kind of mentioned earlier, you don't want to try to yank yourself out of that. That feels more aggressive to ourselves. Right? So just a gentle way, as if you try to encourage, a sleepy child to awaken. We can do that for ourselves, switching directions when you're ready for that. And then again, pressing that foot into the earth. Noticing you might feel a little tingling or warmth in the lower body. We'll keep the feet about hip distance apart for this. You want to be careful here depending on what's going on with your knees. So just a slight bend in the knees. Take the hands. They can be above the knees or resting in a place that's comfortable for you. We're going to do just a couple of circles with the knees, but you want to start really small. And if that feels good, you can start making those circles a little bit bigger. You might be rocking a little bit side to side on your feet, and that helps to wake those up as well. And then the direction that you're going in, we'll switch to the second side. Always paying attention to your body. Gently coming back up. Now pause to notice. And then we'll take the feet a little wider. We're going to do some hip circles. I like to do these with my hands on my hips, but that is not necessary. So whatever feels good to you. And they can be any size that you like, at any speed that feels good. Nice, everyone. And then switch directions on that too. Right, so we start the awakening from the feet moving up. And with the gunas, sometimes it can be easy to just focus on sattva. Oh, I just want sattva, but we need rajas and tamas as well. So we just want those to stay in balance. Coming back to center, you can release the hands down, see how you're feeling. And the next one and the last one is this little swinging of the arms. So we just go side to side with the arms swinging, and you can let your kind of come up on the ball of your foot as you go to the side if that feels good. And this really helps to start get things moving a little bit in a nice, gentle way. And I would venture to guess many of us had this movement in us when we were kids, where we just would be talking and moving like this. We'll do this a couple more times. And then just kind of let everything slow down, back to center. Bring yourself into Tadasana. And pause here and take a couple of those longer exhaled breaths. Just so you can notice what that little bit of movement did for you. We've had maybe about a 15-minute or so practice thus far. So this little portion that we had is a good place to start for on days when you're just feeling like, oh, everything's just too much. You've been sitting for a long time. That's a good way to bring your energy back up in a really gentle way. So now we'll move a little bit into the Rajas part of life. So we'll take the feet a wider. And let's do, I learned this one as kind of a gathering, a physical gathering or imagining of gathering my resources. So you can bring to mind for today something that you'd like to have, whether that be a little bit more energy or just some kindness in your heart or a sense of gratitude. And it goes like this. We start to bend the knees, scoop the arms up, bring them up, let the arms come down. And then to the side, scooping. So we are bringing our resources to us. Another kind of visual, we go back to center and then to each side. Sometimes you can just visualize this as like water washing over you, or even some kind of golden light that just washes over, bringing a sense of calm and peace to yourself. There are many options for what you could visualize during this. A few more times like this, gathering and washing yourself in the resources that you need. And then next time you find yourself back through center, bring the arms down, pause, and feel those resources, the cultivation that you want to have. Just notice that. You might notice that your heart rate is up a little bit. And the energy in your body is flowing through. Good. And if your feet are a little bit wider, you can bring them closer together. And we talked about Rajas earlier as sometimes being chaotic energy, jumping from one thing to the next. And similar to Tamas, you don't want to like yank yourself out of Rajas. You do, well, it's like the same thing of you're waking a sleeping child. You want to do so gently. You're not just going to pull yourself out of Rajas and be calm and centered and all of those things. We want to meet this higher energy where we are. And a very simple practice for that is to raise the arms up into the air. You're going to inhale and make a fist while it's up here. And then exhale, bring the arms down in front with the palms open. So inhaling up with a fist, exhaling down. Yeah, just like that. And you do it at your own pace. It's usually brisk in and out of the nose, but without making yourself breathless or lightheaded or anything like that. So move at your own pace. Three, two, one. Arms come down. Inhale up. Exhale, fold forward. And if you need to take your feet a little wider to make space for the belly, do that. You can also find your blocks for some support. Let the head hang down. Breathing in through the nose. Here, I'd like you to sigh out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. Sigh out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose. Sighing out. And then back to your natural breath. Feet really pressing into the earth. Letting all the excess go into the earth. Pulling the belly in. We come up nice and slow, inhaling up. Exhaling down. Beautiful. Let's do that one more time. Up with a fist. Exhale, open. Three, two, one. Inhale comes back up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling. Exhaling out the mouth. Two more times. And then back to your natural breath. In and out through the nose. Drawing the belly button up into the spine. Coming up nice and easy. We'll do about 3 times, inhaling arms up, exhaling down. Try to notice the qualities that have been cultivated through these practices and how your body has responded to them. And then hands can come to heart center for a moment as we pause. Good, and then release the hands. Take a nice wide stance. Toes are pointed forward. We're pressing pretty strongly into the pinky sides of our feet. And once you do that, you'll feel that your legs have been activated. Having the blocks nearby will be helpful. And we can have them on the highest height. We're going to hinge from the hips coming forward. Find the blocks and walk them out so that your arms are extended and the hips are moving back. Have the belly slightly engaged here. So it's just a gentle drawing of the belly button into the spine. Legs stay nice and active. A couple of inhales and exhales here. And then we're going to start to, let's turn the blocks down to their lowest height. And then you might be on your fingertips, or you might need to go up to the side, the medium height rather. As you exhale, you can start to bend the elbows, let yourself come down. Inhale brings you back up halfway. Okay, so exhaling down, inhaling up. Several times like this. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes as well. This helps to draw the awareness even further into the body. And then next time you come down, if it's available to you, you can take your hands off the blocks or else move the blocks closer to you. And just let your head hang down. So you're in a full wide leg forward fold. Whatever that looks like for you. Focusing on your breathing. Checking in with the quality of mind and sensation of body. And bringing the hands back to the blocks and gently walking the feet together. So you're in forward folds. Bend the knees and come up. Lifting the arms toward the sky. Exhaling, arms down. Pause right here. And just notice how you feel. So that is what we refer to as kind of trying to bring Rajas back home to be a little more pointed. And we can further encourage that by coming down to the floor. We're going to come down to tabletop, hands and knees. Don't forget to pad under the knees if you would like. As we get down here, remember to spread the fingers nice and wide. Really pressing into that first finger and the thumb so that your weight is kind of evenly distributed through the hands, because it can tend to go into the wrist if we're not paying attention to that. And we'll start with some cat-cows here. So as the belly comes down, you're exhaling. The gaze can come up any amount. And with your inhale, you round the spine, pull everything up, head comes down. Several times at your own pace. A couple of more times like this. And once you come back through center, pause there. We're going to come down to the belly. So I like to have a blanket kind of underneath my hips for this and a little bit on my belly. But if you don't, you can go ahead and move that blanket out of the way. Come down, have your elbows underneath your shoulders, palms are flat on the ground. And we're going to lift the right leg and stretch it back behind us. And then lift the left a little bit and stretch it back behind you, just making some more space. Gaze is to the earth. Taking a few breaths here, legs pressing into the ground, hands pressing into the ground. Heart starts to come forward and the gaze might come up a bit. Shouldn't feel any pinching in the low back here. So if you do, take your elbows out a little further away from the body. Make sure you are engaging your core just a smidge. And then you can bring the hands together. Elbows come out to resting the left cheek on the hands. Just taking several breath cycles here. Releasing any excess into the earth. And then we'll find our way back to Sphinx. So elbows underneath, shoulders, and pressing up. Shoulders moving back and behind as heart comes forward. Really pressing the legs into the earth. Several breaths here. Next time you exhale, hands come together, rest the right cheek on to the hands or the forehead, whatever feels good here. And just releasing any excess energy into the earth as you keep only what is needed. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, tucking the toes under. Gently press yourself up. We're going to come into a seat for a few minutes. We're holding your blanket as you like to have some support. So you find yourself in a seated position. You can take your right leg out. Keep the left foot. It might come all the way to the inner thigh, but it doesn't have to. Just bring it in any amount that feels good. And your right leg is out a little bit. It's not right in front of you. It's out on a diagonal slightly. We'll inhale both arms up. Turn the belly to the right. So we're going to come forward a little bit. So it just depends what access you have. So if you hinge forward, you might be able to come down, or you might still be up pretty high. And that's okay because you're already in a fold because you're seated. So you can imagine if you were doing this pose standing. So if you're up higher, try to keep your spine nice and straight. Pull the belly in so you have support and just breathe. And if you're going further, you can come down. You might need to move the belly out of the way. but we're not rounding the spine here. We'll take several long, slow breaths. And you can gently close the eyes if you would like to. And the right leg stays a little bit engaged by having just a slight flex in the foot as the toes point toward the sky. Gently start to walk my hands up, turn back towards center, and then just add a little bit of a twist here. So we're going to be twisting over to the left or your bent leg. So twisting very gently. The hands just come wherever is comfortable for you. Let your gaze go over the right shoulder or the left shoulder rather. A couple of long, slow breaths here. And releasing back to center. You can take your hand on the outside of the left knee and to kind of help that leg up. That leg's going to extend now. And I like to put my hand underneath my knee when I'm bringing my leg in, just for a little bit of support, especially as we get older, which I am nowadays. We pull that in a little bit, but just giving our limb support. And if your knee is up, you might want to try a block underneath. Again, there's a flex in the left foot. The left leg is out on a slight diagonal. We lift the arms, turn the belly towards the left. You might just stay here with the arms down, or if you have access, you come forward any amount. And again, you feel the belly kind of pressing into the leg. Try to just move it more towards center and see what happens. Sometimes that can give you a little bit more space. Some long, slow breaths. And closing the eyes if that would feel good. And if you feel your mind wandering, you place your awareness on any parts of your body that are in contact with the earth right now. Gently walking up with the arms back to center. And then we'll take a twist to the right toward that right leg really gently. Some long, slow breaths. Gaze is going over the right shoulder. Then release back to center. Taking the hand under the right knee, stretching out the right leg. We can just let the legs kind of go side to side, or the feet rather, go side to side. Shake the legs out a little bit. Okay, we're going to head to lying on our backs for a couple of things before Shavasana. So make sure that you have everything that you'd like to have for Shavasana, so you don't need to go searching for anything. And no special Shavasana pose today, so it can be anything that you want, especially if you want. I'd like to have support under my knees, so you might like that. And let's find a blanket for support under the head and neck as we make our way to back lying. And we'll keep the knees bent to start. So once you get here, make sure your head and neck feel fully supported. And take a moment to notice what it feels like to be in this position, grounded to the earth, but with some energy, right, that has been cultivated through our practice together today. And hopefully, this is feeling like a more sattva place for you right now, grounding with some well cultivated energy. And take the feet about as wide as your yoga mat. And we'll do some windshield wipers so you can let the knees fall to the right. And they could stay there for a few breath cycles. Even kind of imagining on this left leg, the knee is pressing away from the hip a little bit to have a more active stretching sensation here. Knees come back to center and then over to the left. And again, the right knee can be actively moving away from the hip to help facilitate more of a stretch if that would feel good. Back to center. One more time to the right. Stay with a longer, softer breath here. To center and then over to the left. Inhaling to center. Let's hug both knees into the chest. And taking a couple of long, slow breaths here. Might feel good to just gently rock side to side, or you could make some circles here. If you do choose to make circles, I'll just do about 3 or 4 in one direction and 3 or 4 in the other. With a nice, gentle energy here, almost as if you would be, rocking a little one to sleep. And when you finish that movement, come to center. We're going to do a couple of inhales and exhales here with the knees into the chest. So you can place your hands kind of behind the pits of the knees. And as you inhale, just notice the thighs going away from the belly a bit as the belly expands. And as you exhale, you can use the arms to help pull the thighs toward the belly. And then the inhale, the arms come straight again, thighs come away from the belly. So do this a couple of times. Really gentle here as well with those longer, softer breaths. Just a little gentle movement. And then next time the thighs move away from the belly, you can let the legs come down. Any movement that you'd like to have here before you settle into Shavasana, please do so. And then move into your Shavasana. You can have the bolster underneath the knees or just the legs straight out. Rest the arms wherever feels most comfortable. And that can just be down to the sides of your body. Sometimes people like to have the arms out a little bit further, so they're kind of on a diagonal. finding what feels good to you today. And then just take a moment to notice where your chin is. If it's really up and toward the ceiling, see if you can bring it down a bit and extend the back of the neck. And then as we settle into Shavasana, find that extended exhale again for about 3 breath cycles. You can let yourself get really settled here. Inhaling, make your exhale just a little bit longer so you can feel all the breath leaving the belly. And after 3 or so cycles of extended exhalation, let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. And we'll start with the awareness shifting to the forehead. Just noticing and imagining a softness in the forehead, especially that little space between the eyebrows. Can just be fully relaxed. That can go right across the eyebrows to all the little muscles around the eyes. Just release fully. Even the skin of the cheeks feel like they're released, perhaps even moving down more toward the jawline. And the upper and lower jaw release from each other. And next time you exhale, just imagine the shoulder blades fully relaxing into the support of the earth beneath you. Just completely let go with the exhale. As the breath can be noticed in the heart center as it rises, the inhale. And as it falls with the exhale, sensation of the breath can move across the collarbones, and down the arms, through the palms of the hand, all the way through the tips of the fingers. Letting the arms fully release into the earth. Being aware of the rise and fall of the belly with each breath cycle. The belly sinks into the body, letting the abdominals just rest. You sense this heavy, relaxed sensation in the upper body, allowing that to gently move to the lower body, the hips release into the earth and just become heavy as they let go. That relaxation can move down the thighs, over the knees, down the shins and the calves, through the heels, soles and the tops of the feet, all the way through the tips of the toes. As the whole body continues to trust in the earth, release into the earth. For a minute more or so. On your next breath cycle, a long inhalation and a long exhalation. As you now gently bring some movement to your body, fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, reawakening yourself as gently as you would a small child. Rolling to your side. Let yourself pause there. 2 long, slow breaths. And when you're ready, find yourself back in a comfortable seat. Pressing the palms together at heart center. The recognition for your efforts to make it to your mat today. Thank you for being here and sharing your practice with me. Namaste.